excited for this discussion. We cannot go a single day without reading AI in some headline or another. And what does it all mean for our lives, our professional lives, and our personal lives? And what we're going to spend the next 20 minutes or so doing is thinking about the real-world applications in the circular economy. And I'm thrilled to have 3 founders here with me today who have great solutions for addressing just that. I am joined today by Areeb Malik. He is the co-founder and CTO of Glacier. Zahra Biabani, she is the CEO of IntheLoop AI. And Greg, I'm going to say your name, Mulholland. Greg Mulholland, the founder and CEO of Citrine Informatics. Recycling, recommerce, and reformulation. So what I've asked each of them to do as a start is talk a little bit about their solution in the context of a customer and how they would benefit, and to be as specific as possible. And Areeb is up first.
All right. So for those who don't know, Glacier makes robots and AI for recycling facilities, MRFs, across the country, specifically to understand what is happening behind the scenes of our circular economy. What we fundamentally use AI to do is convert the physical into the digital. There's so much you can do with good data if you have it. As a business, you can be smart, tactical, thoughtful about your decisions. But we are transitioning at this moment from a world where a lot of the stuff that our companies produce or touch is physical and not digital. But AI today has the ability to transform that, to take the physical, understand it, and convert it into digital. What we do is we use images to understand what's happening inside of a recycling facility. And an example of how this might apply to folks in this room is that we have worked with, for instance, Colgate, who recently released a new version of the toothpaste tube that is made of full HDPE, as opposed to the traditional multi-layer toothpaste tube. In order to do this, though, you can't just make the tube and put it on the market. You have to understand what consumers are doing with it. Right? You only know, really, that you produce so much that you gave it to this many retailers, but after that, what happens? And we were able to give them visibility into the recycling stream and help prove that, yes, your consumers are recycling, that, yes, this marketing campaign did actually affect consumer behavior, and help them actually make educated decisions that help them drive towards circularity as a result. That is what we're using AI to do, and there's a lot of opportunity to continue.
Zahra, bring this to life in the recommerce world.
Yeah, awesome. Excited to be here. So I am the co-founder and CEO of IntheLoop AI, and our goal is to make recommerce, specifically online recommerce, not only pervasive, but also profitable. So some of the main issues in the space are the unit economics. And those unit economics is, it's hard to scale operations that are so time intensive and require so much attentiveness for each item without the presence of a product catalog. So what we do is we have a software that helps resellers or secondhand operations to automate the identification, itemization, and listing of single SKU items, specifically apparel, shoes, and accessories. So what that looks like is one of our clients is a massive seller on eBay. They have currently sold around 300,000 items, all in clothing and shoes. And they have a big team in a warehouse up in the Northeast. And one of the things that they were struggling with in scaling, because as you'll probably know or have experienced, many of the businesses in this recommerce space are not supply constrained. There's more than enough in circulation. It's just about getting it QA'd, listed, and sold and shown to the right people. So they had some scaling challenges, and we came in to reduce the time it takes to generate a listing by 90%. Also, with the additional attributes that we were adding to each item, we were able to see a revenue uplift of about 15%. And going forward, they are now really excited to continue listing more and more items and reaching the customers that want to buy a secondhand first.
Great. Greg, you handle a very different part of the process, reformulation. That's one way I'll think about it. What are you giving to your customers?
Yeah, so Citrine has been doing generative AI in materials and chemistry since 2013. We work with some of the largest companies on Earth to power both their circular and sustainability efforts as well as their product development efforts. And so in the sustainability world, we would take the products that Areeb and his team are helping to get out of the recycling facilities, returning to chemicals producers, and it turns out that to take a plastic and make it into the next bottle or next tube or next tire that you want to make, you can't just use the same old recipe that you've always used. So we're working with one of the world's largest chemical providers. They make plastics, they compound plastics. And one of the big problems is they don't have scientists who have expertise in dealing with these recycled waste streams. They need to be robust because they're not always perfectly pure, no matter how good Glacier is. You sometimes get some other junk in there. And even if it is pure, you have different qualities of material that are coming in. And so we use AI to look at that waste stream, look at the recipes they're using, and help develop recipes that are much, much more effective at making that new endpoint product. We connect that circular loop. And so our platform, our AI approach, allows these companies to do that in 90% less time. So 1/10 the time that they would have taken earlier, and they can do it much more robustly. So they can scale the process larger than they ever could have, doing it in a manual way.
Now, we had the benefit of having 3 hours of discussion this morning in the tutorial, and one of the things that kept coming up was data, and what you take and what you don't take. So help the larger group here understand that challenge and how maybe they should approach their data if they're thinking about using AI. What are they going to get out of it, and what are they not going to get out of it?
Sure. So I think for people who are unfamiliar with how AI models are produced, data is so critical to making the model successful. Dirty data in creates a dirty model out, and we want to make sure that the data you're using, if you're providing data or you're building your own AI, you're really focused 2x, 3x on making sure that data is high quality. At Glacier, we have definitely experienced this where it takes a lot of effort to make sure that our cameras can actually identify things properly because so much stuff is hard to identify visually. You need to make sure and really, again, double down on that effort to make sure data is clean. There are a lot of emerging technologies today that help you do that, and so you should be sure not to just try to brute force this, but understand what technology is out there to help make sure my data is clean. And I promise once you do that, you really see the returns in terms of your model's quality, in terms of what your AI can do for your business.
In the chemicals world, data is incredibly expensive. A single experiment costs thousands, tens of thousands, or hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on what you're doing. And so we don't have huge volumes of data. So there are ways to work at the low data limit in machine learning and in AI. And the way you do that is very often by integrating what other information you have. You don't need to learn all of chemistry from data. You can learn it from the chemists that are using it and working at these companies, these material scientists that specialize in these things. So where you have data, you should definitely take advantage of that data. You should invest in it. You should clean it up. But in the world of chemistry, very often, we don't have that data. And so we do our best to curate it as we go, and we make the most of the data that we have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just one more thing. I think when you are using AI for yourself or for a business use case or assessing any AI solution providers to use, what's really important to inquire about and investigate is really what data has been trained to create those models. Because really what you are going to be getting as a solution is the output of an amalgamation of data that patterns have been formed. If it's a generative model, meaning that new text or images are spit out as a result of your queries, it's all a result of what the data initially that was used for training is. So if you have the privilege of having large proprietary data sets, I think that is amazing, and you should really look into, hey, what does that mean for what our desired solution is, and how can we leverage that? If you don't have that, there's a lot of options for third parties, but would be wary to look at solutions that are very, very general, because again, they are going to have general outputs, and you probably need specific solutions for your use cases.
Mm-hmm. I would imagine that many of the companies in this room on the corporate side have some very strong IT policies, and they have to work with that team. So I'm curious, what stakeholders really should be involved in this discussion for those that are either trying to use an external tool or maybe thinking about doing a project on their own? What stakeholders should be involved in that discussion?
Yeah, so we work with companies that have tremendously intense, let's say, security policies. Almost everyone refers to the data they share with us as the crown jewels of the company. And so there are stakeholders across legal, IT, even the business unit heads are very often involved. But what's really important to understand is how is the data being used? In our model, we do not share data among our customers. So your data is as secure with us as it is in your own organization. And that's really important for us to guarantee. I actually think that in many cases, trying to build something internally presents a lot more risk because a lot of folks within companies that are trying to build these kind of narrow one-off little models might be using tools that are learning from data, aren't real clear about that. The early GPT models from OpenAI, for example, we're learning from your data. So you can't just kind of send it over the wall and hope it's okay. And so I actually think working with companies that specialize in this really lead to the best benefit in terms of data security.
Yeah. And I think just maybe a little bit of technical exploration for those who are unfamiliar. When you use data to build a model, that data is necessary for the training aspect of that model. That's how you build the brains of the AI system. But once the brain is built and you're actually asking the AI model to do anything, you don't need that input data anymore. In fact, you could actually return that or throw it away entirely once the brain has been trained. And so that's really important to keep in mind if you are working with third parties. There are definitely mechanisms to say, hey, you can use my data for training your model. You can use this sliver of it for validating your model. But once you're done, I want you to delete it. And that's actually very feasible. You do not need that data around for the continuing operation of these models. And that's just an important thing to understand when you think about what is data actually used for in AI.
But do be careful, because it's then embedded in the model in some way. And there are ways, if you're very tricky, to unwind a model and figure out what data was in there. And so if you let that model out of your sight, it is possible it can leak data.
It can be kind of a black box. I mean, engineers at OpenAI have said time and time again, they're not really sure what's happening inside. Like they can't really explain it. So yeah, there's definitely some complexities there. We handle way lower stakes data than that. But our main kind of stakeholders, our user buyers, our data science teams, we do, often get pushback of wanting to build internally, which is a timeline that is just much different than what we have since we've been focusing on this. And then also operations, because we are trying to make recommerce more operationally scalable and reduce the cost and friction in the current processes. Sometimes a lot of things have to be reconfigured, where items are photographed versus where a barcode is put on. So that is something that is increasingly a part of our process, is helping companies on the operations side figure out, hey, we have this computer vision solution. How can we embed it into your operational flow to get the maximum gains for your company?
Yep. Energy. That's the other headline we keep seeing about AI, right? So it takes a lot of energy for these data centers to run and train these models. So how do you talk to a sustainability team that's really concerned with their energy load and how they're going to use AI, and how is this going to screw up my my renewable energy story or my energy efficiency story? What's the counter? How do we get around that?
So I think understanding why these things take a lot of energy is really important, because not all AI models require a lot of energy. The ones that are, GPT-4o, the new one that just came out, uses a ton of energy, but that's because it's trying to do everything. You can generate videos, you can write theses, you can do all these different things, and so it's trained on enormous volumes of data using literal entire data centers. Yes, that takes a lot of energy. Our AI could run on an iPhone. It's not a high energy thing because the data is really small. And so when we think about how we're using energy, in my view, the way we talk to sustainability teams is how do we narrow in to use a lot of little AI models that are really powerful for specific things, but individually are not actually that energy intensive, rather than trying to train one super brain that's going to slowly take over the planet.
No shade on OpenAI.
I mean, their ethics team did just entirely quit yesterday, so there may be some question marks around that.
Maybe some shade. Yeah, just to add on to that, I think there's like two main factors. Is like if the models are heavy, which is a little bit of a nebulous term, but if they're heavy, there's a ton of data that needs to be fed to run them, versus if they're more lightweight, modular, meaning they were trained on a lot of data, but now, to Areeb's point, they're going they're able to run in a very light manner, very quick, and I think that's a major difference when you are looking to either build or purchase a solution.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. Just to understand, right? When you go to ChatGPT's website and use it, you're actually not using that much energy. Again, a lot of that energy was in that training phase, but the actual usage is actually relatively low and, frankly, can live on anybody's phone. And so keep that in mind as you think about your energy footprint. If you are just piggybacking off an off-the-shelf model that exists, likely you're not actually spending that much energy doing that. But if you are building your own model or building something crazy large like ChatGPT, those models use 100 billion parameters versus a standard image detector like what we use is about 3 million. And so you can see just like the scale right there. Keep that in mind. And I think, Greg, you said it best. Like, use small AI for specific things. Don't use giant models that can do everything to solve easy problems.
And is that what all three of your companies have done to keep your own energy down? I mean, like,
and costs.
Yep.
It's very expensive. They'll go hand in hand, but yes.
Yeah, I think a basic engineering principle when you're building is always do the simplest thing to get the job done. And I think that applies to folks in this room as well, is use the simplest AI to do your work.
Okay, time for one more question. What's the first thing that any company thinking about using AI for something regarding circularity should do before they act? What do they really need to make sure to get their house in order? I'm going to go ahead with you, Greg.
Yeah, I'm going to take a contrarian, I think, perspective to what most people assume. Don't start with figuring out how to get all of your data to be perfect. Most of the data in your companies going back decades is probably not worth going back and structuring exactly right and doing all this perfect stuff. Start with a goal. Start with a narrow target and say, hey, I really want to achieve these 3 or 4 things. That's great. I'm going to use an AI, I'm going to find some experts to work on that with, and then I'm going to bring in the appropriate data and then expand programmatically. I've seen too many companies waste too much effort going back and trying to lay groundwork to boil the ocean, and I think we can use carbon to boil the ocean. We don't need to do it with our companies. Too dark?
That's a good one.
Very dark.
I would say, I mean, this is nothing revolutionary, and it's, to your point, is just to go back to your top-line business goals. It can be really enticing to think, oh, I can use AI for this, and then X team can use it for this, and we can also use it to automate our sales funnels and all of this. And while all of that may be true, what are your what business goals are you really driving towards? And there is probably some pretty significant ways that you can use AI, or even just being smarter about data. It doesn't even have to be AI, again, because it boils down to having good quality data. Yeah.
I think that today, if it wasn't apparent to people, what AI is going to do a year from now is going to look radically different than what it can do today. And if you're thinking about a big corporation that takes a while to move, you really have to be thinking about the future, not the present. What that means is partnering with the right folks. There are so many companies out there trying to push AI forward in so many directions. And there is a right direction for your company, for your use case. The challenge is figure out that use case, as these guys just said, and then figure out what the future of AI is going to look like and how that's going to enable you. There are companies everywhere, some of them are on the stage, wink, wink, who might be able to help you actually drive in that direction. And so think about what partnerships might look like. Think about how you, as a powerful force, you guys have a lot of power in this industry and in this space. How can you drive forward AI to a place that is beneficial to your company, to our missions, our collective mission of circularity? Really think about the future, not the present. That's my advice.
Can I add one more thing? There's two ways that you can think about AI. One is efficiency. How do you make it you automatically write emails, draft presentations, draft press releases? That might be valuable. But don't forget that AI is going to be super valuable in increasing your top line, in solving creative and hard-to-solve problems, and optimizing across very large segments of things that a human can't hold in their brain. And I think that's one of the things that I see people struggle with a lot. It's like, oh, we're just going to use it to optimize supply chain or work on finance or do some basically headcount reduction efforts. And AI is so much more powerful than that. It can help us solve some of our toughest problems as a society, but we need to let it. We need to invite it in to solve those problems with us.
Great. Thank you. Areeb, Zahra, and Greg, thank you so much for your thoughts. with that, you can go ahead and, as they leave.